You know what I really loved about today was, I didn't realize Crystal was that animated during worship. And I'm thinking we should just put her at the front all the time. It was good. And Pastor Joe, take your bathroom breaks at a different time other than worship from now on, because you missed an opportunity to film her.
Yeah.
You know, it is detachable. I can walk around.
It was very good. I love Quickening Sundays, and what I love about it is
the fear on your face.
all of you sit there going, it's not me, it's not me, is it me? Is it you? No, it's not me. I think it's me. Is it you? No, I don't know, it's not me. But so, you know, there's a
babies excel.
huh? Oh, that's what I like the most. But you know, there used to be a game show. I think it may be still on during the day. It's called Let's Make a Deal. They would call out a name and say, "Come on down," right? Is that what they do? That's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to. Huh? No, it's not. The Price is Right. Price is Right. Price is Right. I think Let's Make a Deal did it too, but it's Price is Right's fine. You're right. You're right. We'll go with that one. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to call out a name and go, "Come on down. It's your turn on the price on the quickening."
Isn't this breaking the rules? Aren't you supposed to let them know before?
No, the rules were at any time up to the moment of the service.
Last week we changed those rules.
I don't think senior management approved it.
Actually, we had a series of like 3 executive meetings, 3 Sundays in a row where we discussed it. Nobody objected to the new rules.
That's right.
That's very true.
Yeah, but senior management never signed off on it.
But so today, the first one to be quickened, Bree, come on down. Look at that, just calm. And the next one, we're going to do the tag team quickening today. So the next one. He's saying, you better not pick me. I know where you live.
Maybe you were going this way.
Crystal, come on down. It's your turn.
Welcome to the BC show. You guys are so funny.
Okay, ladies, excuse me, just a moment. For technical reasons, you gotta face this way.
It's gotta be a good angel. Oh, good, Grace. Wait,
Your angle looks good from back here.
Oh.
okay.
Only your husband.
Crystal, scoot up a little bit.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So we're sitting just so we can feel more comfortable and relaxed, and you guys look so great.
So do you.
Do you like your seating arrangement?
Yes.
Really? I saw your faces and that is not what you know. There are a few people that abandoned their seats and moved.
I want my corner back. So it was my idea to change the seats. I just wanted to make you suffer. But really, I wanted to talk about change today. I think this was a good start.
Yes.
Kind of threw everybody off, but you've all survived. Most of it. Okay, I heard a term on my commute that God is a change agent, and I liked it, but I thought really I think we're the change agents. We need to be the ones responsible for our change. That was Henry McLeod, if anyone cares. And are you sure? So sometimes change is uncomfortable. Me sitting up here, it's a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna change shades, white to red. But this is my first time being up here, and it's a little different, I will say. And if you don't want to be quickened, don't go to lunch with Pastor Bob. Go eat before. Little life advice. He also wanted a quick service.
So we're done. Do you all feel changed?
So last week, Pastor Bob was talking about our watershed book. And I just tagged ours because I thought I would just pick on us a little bit. So we all have things that we want to change. But I'll be honest, I couldn't even remember everything that I wrote down. And because I hadn't looked at the book for a while. So,
Confession's good for the soul.
yes, it is. So, what change is God pushing you to make? I know for us, I would say the salon. I might cry a little. I do that.
God's good.
It has been on my heart for a long time to leave, or at least, go towards my salon. But I just felt like financially, it's a little terrifying to lose. Basically, it's like somebody losing a salary. But even when your teenager complains that you're not home enough, that's huge. And I don't think I was emotionally ready, obviously. Financially ready, I think we were fine. But I was believing that for my income alone for a certain number, and I've already surpassed that in my first, that was like the first week and a half I surpassed it. He's telling me that it's okay, and we will be fine. I'll make what we need, but it's still terrifying to and sad to leave everybody behind too. But, so that was one of my things, to build a successful business with a new salon, and he pushed me towards that with the other salon closing that I probably wouldn't have done. And now I'm home for more meaningful family time was one of my things, and to eat dinner together is huge for us. To have conversations around the dinner table, that is huge. And I didn't think I'd get this emotional, but I am. So, thanks. Thanks. And then another one was to have a prayer corner in my house, and just for me. So we have the front porch, and we did redo the porch, and I got to have my little area for my prayer corner. So those are things for me that I'm glad that I, first of all, wrote them down, and just that God reminded me that change can be good, whether we want it to be or not to be. I mean, it's not something I would have done at all.
And it's not easy. Change is, if it was easy, people would change everything they did as soon as they knew it was time to do it. That's not easy. It's an emotion. You can have emotional change, it affects you emotionally, it can affect you physically, it can affect you spiritually, and that change can affect each of those areas differently. And it's not an easy change, but you have to look at what that change is doing. It's a better change, and if God is placing that change on you, and that's steps you need to make towards that. It's not going to be easy, that situation, like Crystal said with the law, it would have been a thing that would have been hard for her to leave on her own if she would have made that change. But God put things in turn to make her move because he knew that she could do it, and that door closed and another one opened for her to have that opportunity to do something else. So,
and I could have found another salon, but I just knew that I was meant to be in my place. Yes. So I it took me a little bit. So I listened, but are you listening to what he's telling you? To whatever steps you need to do to make your changes. I think that sometimes it's a little easier to just not block him out, but yeah, ignore it. Yeah, I know what he was saying, and I didn't listen. So have your listening ears on. And in Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and he definitely, I think it's going to strengthen me and us and the boys too.
And it's a change that has given you victory now.
Yeah.
So with every victory, you know, you become more courageous because you have that backing behind you. You know that, okay, I did this and God got me through the hard time. So guess what? I'm going to do that because he was behind. You know, it gives you encouragement, and we need that in order to move forward with, you know, with what we do. Because if we don't have that, then we struggle with, is this right? Should we be doing this? I don't know if this is right. Is God going to be there? You know, is this possible? Can God handle it? He's making me nervous. He's out of his
Nobody can see the screen for the scripture verses anyway, so I'm gonna come out here and enjoy it from this side.
Aren't you sitting in the front row?
But it gives us encouragement, you know, and we all need encouragement, don't we, in order to, just with everyday things even, you know, we need encouragement. And
And be open to what he's saying. Honestly, I would have said no and left the watch. Rob wasn't my ride. But a long time ago, I would have been freaked out. I woke up at, what night was it? Monday night maybe? At 2:15 to write notes. Yes, it was the middle of the night. And God woke me up to write notes out. I don't think I would have
because the change had to
been open
come.
to it. Yeah. Yes, because you can be your own change agent. So I'll pick on you a little bit more.
Me?
My other thing, I need to earn a Cadillac. That is my other one. And a healthier family diet. We're not eating out as much. Good thing I had a short list.
Don't read all mine.
Actually, Bree's were two of my favorites that I think were just great ones. To do a better job at walking by faith and not by sight, and to see things around us more spiritually. I think those were great.
Thank you.
So,
It's a challenge, you know. It's not easy to not get wrapped up in the worldly things and what you see, and you have to remind yourself that you need to be seeing things differently because we are different, and so therefore we need to see things differently. So that still is a challenge for me, but
do you want to see a list? Do you want to see anything that you need to change?
I got a lot to change.
don't talk to my husband about it.
Her list is much longer.
Well, aren't you an angel? Well, you didn't marry one.
I know.
I married an
Look at
angel.
his, if you look at his goals, you'll know that.
Okay, let's see here. Well, some of these are old ones, but I have lost half my weight, so that is a good thing. But just going back to what you said about bringing these out and what Pastor Rob has said, you know, it's always a good reminder to go back and look at these things. Some of these things I'm like, it seems like I wrote these 10 years ago. You know, things that you just forget about, really, when it comes down to it. We definitely have surpassed every year. One of them that I'm looking at is putting more seed in the ground every year. So I know that we have gone way beyond that, but there's other things, more time in word and prayer. Those are things that, you know, I struggle with that I need to continue to, you know, work at and change and dedicate more time to that, and I know that. So it's good to get that up and look at it. Or if you have it written someplace else, maybe it's not in here. Maybe it's, you know, in your own little book at home or something that you have set aside that you know these are things that I need to change that, maybe are more personal than you want, out there for people to see.
You have your own personal list, it doesn't have to be in the book. We might call you
But it's
out.
fun to look at. So, we have personal things that need change, but there's people, in the Bible that went through major changes or were called to make changes and didn't make changes. So I'm just going to kind of go through a few people in the Bible that I found that experienced change, and they weren't easy changes. And some of them were painful, but the blessing that came with that was far greater than the change they had to make. So this is what I do. That's okay. Okay, so talking about Abraham. Abraham was told to leave, his family. So his big change was leaving his family behind, because he was told to leave and go someplace different. He didn't even know where he was going. So the pain of that is leaving his family, his location, his security, and not knowing where he was going. But and then that story, you really don't have to. It's in Genesis 12:1-3 where it talks about that. But the blessing associated then with that change, as a lot of you know, is there were promises that came with the change that he made, that his name and his family would be great. God would give him many descendants, and the world would be blessed through him. Abraham considered the change and examined the pain that was associated with it. And what did he do? He went. He made the change, and because of that, the blessing came on him, but it comes on all of us as well. So, you think about if he wouldn't have made that change, then what? I know don't dwell on the ifs, the ifs of situations, but if that wouldn't have happened, don't dwell on it, but think how things would be different. What about Mary? She had to go through a huge change. I mean, to have somebody come up to you and say, you're going to be pregnant with the Son of God and you're a virgin. So, hello. I mean, there's a little bit of a, Okay. So in Luke 1:26-38, it talks about her being pregnant with the Son of God. She had to go through the fear of being different. She was a virgin, but she was pregnant. What was her reputation going to be like? These are things that could have been going through her mind. The fear of childbirth. Some things that us women have experienced ourselves. But the blessing that came from that, favor with God, she was the mother of a king, mother of the Son of God. So her blessing was far greater than the fear or the challenges that she had that came with it. The last one, what about the rich young ruler? Okay, in Matthew 19:16-22, it talks about that he had to change his value system. He valued money and security and the prestige that came with it more than anything. Jesus met with him and challenged him to follow him. Now we know the end of that story, that he chose not to do that, that he valued his money and stuff over that. So something I thought was interesting about that, hold on, before I get too far ahead of myself. So think about the pain that would come with his changes. He had to change his core values. He valued money over anything. So he had to change that, allowing his relationship with Jesus to be what led him and not the money or obeying the law. The pain that one would experience when you have to rely on someone else. I think we all can relate to that. You have to rely on somebody else for your finances or your income, which was going to be hard for him. Not physical pain, but psychological and spiritual discomfort he went through. Yet there was going to be a great reward for that. So Jesus personally asked this rich ruler to come and follow him, just as he had asked James, John, Peter, and Matthew, who all had to change their lives, their jobs, and their beliefs to follow him. Now those people chose to. The ruler chose not to. But what if he would have? We could have been reading out of the Bible parts that he wrote, just like, we read about John and James and Peter and all those people. He could have had that opportunity. That was going to be his blessing, or could have been his blessing, but he chose, to pass it. So he missed that. So there are people in the Bible that have gone through great changes as well and have blessings that come with them as we do. So we go through challenges ourselves that are painful sometimes and hard, but the blessing far, outweighs the pain if you look at it. And one more thing real quick, I'll hand it over to you, but you have to view the change as, are these changes eternal changes? Or are they things that you're worrying about that are just petty things that are just earthly things? The changes that you're going to make, just really think about who that's impacting or what that's impacting, or is that really just listening to God, really, and letting Him guide you in the changes that you need to have made.
Alright, very good. So, when you need to change something, then I feel like you have to make an effort to do something. Something like sowing seed. One of my favorite stories was Rob, when you got the call. Rob got a call from some random fella. And
Let's phrase that differently.
he was looking for help.
Story.
And I was pregnant with Zeke. I remember what I was wearing. I was wearing a blue dress that I had with Zeke. So I know Zeke. Dante was in the back seat. So we got this call, and he said this guy needs help. And I'm pretty sure that, I got that mic right there. I would never probably accept a call from a stranger who just said, hey, I need some money. I would want to maybe know a little bit about this fellow and see what he was about. Not as trusting, I would guess, as Rob. So he got the call, and that's a good quality, I would say, because he was listening. I wasn't listening. He sewed, it was our last $50. And I was like, what are you doing? We're about to have a baby, $50, that's a lot of money. I'm waiting in the car, sure he's gonna die in this, it was this motel. I was sure he was going to die in this motel, giving this guy money that we didn't know. I didn't know what the guy looked like, I didn't even know his phone number. Rob had his phone on him. So I couldn't tell you if he got murdered in the hotel, who did it. But Rob listened, I would say, yeah, obviously I wasn't as trusting. So Rob sewed that $50, he was listening, and we did receive 100-fold on that $50. And I would have never listened. We never would have been blessed like we were had I got in a call, first of all. So you have to listen. You have to change, be willing to change, to sow, to change your situation. And we knew, we sow to know what we're sowing for. We want to know what that money is going towards. And he was good about it. He listened. Or let's say you want to be healthier, and you have to change. You can't just sit on the couch and eat bonbons. He really does. I don't really know. But I'll go with the saying. Yeah, you can't. Right. You can't just sit on the couch and eat bonbons. You have to walk around the block or ride your bike or whatever. Be willing to change your situation. Yeah, maybe you can walk while you're walking. Walk to Dairy Queen.
We always feel better about it if we ride our bikes there, doesn't it?
Right.
And back.
Might even out. So be willing to change your situation. Put yourself outside of your box, outside of your chair, and just be open to change, because it's a little bit harder to do.
And how's Jesus going to change your life if you're not open to that?
Yeah.
Just like in John 10:10, where it says Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. How are you going to get that abundant life if you don't make the change? You can't. It's just like anything in the natural. Like she said, you're not going to lose weight by sitting in your chair not doing anything. You have to get up and move. Well, God expects you to do.
Sorry.
Yeah. My 20 pounds would have been gone like that.
That'd be really scary.
But God's the same way, you know, he can't give you the blessing if you don't make the steps forward to make the change. And we wanted that
Yes.
abundant life, so you have to make
Right.
the change when he tells you to make the change.
In Philippians 4:6, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." So tell him what you want. And, you know, maybe you're not willing to receive it like myself, but if he is telling you what to do, then trust in him and make those changes, because it's amazing. It's only been a few weeks and I think it's amazing. So it's important to believe as you go and trust God to lead you and supply your needs. And he's not going to lead you to anything negative. That is not God.
That's right.
So if it's something bad, it's the devil. Stay away from the devil. Open your mind and your heart to allow those changes to be made. And just listen. Speak positive over your changes. And don't let negativity poison your goals. I think,
That's good.
yeah, it's important. I used to have, Deb used to be the word police. If I,
Used to be.
well, I must be not.
There's been
I
no
must not be
change there.
saying as many bad things because I've changed.
But we're thankful for that. We're thankful.
Yeah, I think to have somebody reminding you to say positive things, not negative things, that's important.
Yes.
So listen to somebody who's, you know, speaking positivity, because it's important. You don't want somebody beating you down or your own thoughts beating you down, because that's not God. He wants everything to be good for you.
I had just a scripture I really like too that spoke to me about handling change. In 2 Corinthians 4:16 it says, and I'm reading out a New Living Translation, so it's going to be a little different, but you guys can't see anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. That we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day. For our present troubles are small and won't last very long, yet they produce for us a glory that vastly outweighs them and will last forever. So we don't look at the troubles as we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever.
And I have a quote, and then I'm ready to close whenever Bree is ready. So this is Tony Robbins, who is I've never listened much to him, but he is, he looks like a giant. Yes, so you can look him up. Throughout human history, our greatest leaders and thinkers have used the power of words to transform our emotions, to enlist us in their causes, and to shape the course of destiny. Words can not only create emotions, they create actions. And from our actions flow the results of our lives. So, take action. If you are needing change, then change it. Do what you have to do. Listen to God.
And
And you'll
move
see
forward
results.
and watch the blessing that comes when you make that change. It's just got to be little steps. It doesn't need to be jumping, all in. If you need to take steps to that, then let God take you in those steps at the pace you need to go. But watch the blessing that comes with each little step that you make forward.
That's the key, the action, the
Yes,
step.
the
You're
moving,
making a
yes,
step.
yeah, moving forward, because the blessing can't come unless you make that move. So, and share with people. When something happens, don't think that, any change is a good change. It's not, and to be, just like a blessing. Any blessing is a blessing. If it's important to you, then it's important to all of us, and we all want to rejoice in that and praise with that, and that encourages all of us. So share those things with people, or
Those
the
praise
church, or
reports that we all
whoever-
kind of sit back and,
Sharing
even if it's
encourages
little,
everybody.
there are definitely times where we could have shared, but I didn't, or Rob didn't. So yeah, share for your praise reports in the morning when you ask for them and you don't raise your hand. Mhm. Yes.
Just looking at us funny.
They all are.
They are funny looking
We're gonna have the husbands close since our wives got to do the teaching. So, you wanna start?
You know, I just, I mean, I would have to second what Crystal said on the don't go to lunch with Pastor Bob.
At
No,
least
but,
the week of quickening.
I know this whole week has really kind of, I know Bree's been like on edge and stressed about it and everything, but I gotta say, they did a wonderful job.
Yep, they did.
I mean, you guys, you know, I tell everybody is, you know, one of the best things about our church, this church, is nobody's here with tomatoes to throw them at you guys. Everybody's here.
That would have been funny.
Never mind.
Brought our own tomatoes.
No, I mean, you guys rocked it.
Yes, yes.
I agree, yeah. And when she was talking about this week, about the agent of change, I liked that a lot, about the fact that, and she brought out about how, you know, the change always has to start with you. It's always an inward change that changes first. For one thing, the first change you ever make in your walk is you change your way of thinking about who God is and who you are.
That's right.
To become saved, right? You have to understand that you need God, and that's a change that takes place, and then it changes along the way. And don't let her be too hard on herself. When she was talking, a lot of those things that were she was the change, instigator of the change. Because I feel like I'm perfect as I am. So any change that needs to be made, she's like, well, you're not all that. You're not as great as you think you are. Maybe you could tweak it. We'll call it tweaking a few things. But
He is so humble.
that's the best thing about me, my humility. That's the greatest thing about me is how much humility I have. So, but yeah, no, she did the change that she taught, and that's when we were looking over this book, and man, sometimes it's kind of, even as often as we get reminded of it. Sometimes, you know, I'll be reminded, we're like, oh yeah, I can check that thing out here on Sunday morning, and she took one of mine. From the book, she took one of my goals, which was to preach the word when called upon.
I thought it was to develop a healthier lifestyle.
No, I'm only eating grain-fed fried chicken now. So the only fried chicken I eat, the 8 pieces, you know, has all been grain-fed. It's been free range. It's not, you know, okay. So, but yeah, to preach the word when called upon. And I think that what's nice is that there was a time not that long ago that I'm sure Bree said it, but she's been up there once before too. But Crystal said, well, I'm never getting quickened. She said, I better be off that list. And she's got some hood in her, so the heck I better not be getting quickened. Toss the hair, take off the fake eyelashes, taking off the rings. I better not get quickened. And you know, so it was a blessing to see, and it was good word. And you don't have to be able to spout off all the verses like Pastor Vince does, or the ridiculous jokes that Pastor Bob does, or you know, the math problems that Jeff does. All you need to do to be able to be what God has called you to be, because we're all called to preach the word when called upon.
Right.
We're all sanctioned for that. We're all commissioned for that. You don't have to be like anybody else. You just be you.
That's right.
So if that means if you just want to sit here in chairs like you're on some daytime talk show, if that brings the word,
That's right.
that works. That's where God anoints. Crystal can't preach like I can, because it won't be the same. I can't preach like this. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was better. Sarah can't preach the same way Jeff does. This is not the way it works. God takes you. He wants you involved in this, because the change is in you, and you are the one bringing change to somebody else. So remember that, you know, even somebody who has said, anybody who has said that they can't do it, anybody can do it.
That's right.
And you don't have to do it somebody else's way. You do it the way that God lays on your heart to do.
Sorry. I was just gonna, I mean, it's so funny you say that, because I got a message today from somebody, well, not today, actually this week, saying that they just felt led to let me know that I just needed to be me and that was okay. And it's through this whole week, it's been a challenge for me because when you're studying the Word, you get led in one direction, and when you're tag teaming with someone, usually my husband, we're in the same house, so we can study together or duke it out together, or, whatever we need to do to get through it. But when that person isn't in your house, it's a bit of a challenge because you want to make sure that you're on this. Well, I want to make sure I've got everything organized. We're on the same page and we're doing things right. And Crystal's not so much like that. So she gets a text and she go, I haven't really had time to go over it yet. And I'm like,
I woke up
She had some
Monday with
notes.
my notes
Yes,
at,
she
in the
did.
morning, so I knew where I was going.
yes. But for me, it was just different. It was a change that had to happen in me that was like, and and it was a reminder that I just have to be me. And when I can bring that, I know that just like, you guys aren't, a judgmental church. There's no law here that says you have to do service a certain way. We can change our chairs around however we want to. The Holy Spirit's still here. You guys still got blessed with a good message, I think. And so, it doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. It doesn't matter how the Word and this, what this place looks like. The Word's still coming forth. The Holy Spirit's still here and working. And so I went through a change too, and it's funny that I got that text, and then you say that, and God is good.
Yes, He is. All the time. The only other thing I was just thinking, I forgot this morning to mention the picnic today. So everybody's welcome. If you don't have something with you, that's no big deal, but everybody's welcome at Idlewood Park is where we're headed to after this.
You guys just ruined all my dinner meals after church for me.
At least 1 week out of the month.
Pastor Bob.
Not the week before the last weekend, that's for sure.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're not announced the next
Just
one.
a couple things. I am very proud of you two.
Yes.
I'm not disparaging any of the reviews we've had thus far. This is far beyond the best because of the dynamic. The dynamics of having to be separate places. That's hard. Rob and I have experienced that when I said, hey, you go do your part, I'll do mine. You guys flowed off of each other very well, so it won't be the last time we'll be seeing you probably.
No, it's only when I'm mad. And I'm not mad.
Oh, okay.
Rob sees it a lot. Sometimes I break my neck.
Thank you for the word because it is about change. It's about being willing to change in your life, about moving forward. Because if you think about this, a river that doesn't change has no end, has no beginning. A lake that doesn't have a stream flowing through to change the current it becomes stagnant, becomes dead. The body of Christ is supposed to be about change. Every day. We talked a little bit about today is allowing ourselves to be different, allowing ourselves to be different than what we thought. And if we don't do that, we aren't able to affect the world like we're supposed to affect it. Base program is different today than it was years back when it first started. Totally different. Not only the facilities different, but the people that are there are different. This church, from the day one of we started it, was 7 people. Was it 7, Pastor Rick? Wasn't much. We had a whole lot more till Pastor Rick decided to get married. We had a lot of exodus at that point in time. But we're different. We're different. We're different not only just in location, but we're different in dynamics. We could not do what we did today with that church in the beginning. But we can do this today.
This is why we don't do things together.
You tell the anointing's changed because now it's acting normal.
So it's a matter of this message, grab a hold of it, keep it close, think about it. Think about the book. The book we do every year to help bring about change in your life, to strengthen you, to change. I thank you for referring back to that. That was very good. Thank you. And to move forward. So you are invited to the picnic. Again, thanks, ladies. I really enjoyed that. That was worth my
You need to push
anticipation.
at someone else for a little input in that too, and to change.
Yeah, that's real.
Where I came today, I prayed and said, Lord, I need something different. And this is perfect. I mean, this is perfect. The way God works upstream, put you two together, and what I heard this morning. I don't know, but it was, I don't care if it's just for me. That's what I needed. And you shared to be just who you are. It's a joint of body put together, and each one supplies. You supplied my need this morning.
Hallelujah.
God used you. It's perfect.
That's perfect.
Anybody else?
I would just say that that anointing that was on them, that's on them, is what was removing a burden
Yes.
and destroying a yoke in people's lives here. Did anybody get anything out of that?
Yes.
Did they?
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. It's about making changes. If it doesn't make any change, it's worthless. It's worthless.
Yeah, if the Word of God, when you get into it, doesn't change you every time you get into it, something's wrong on the inside, and that's a worthless time. It has to change you. It needs to change you. As Debbie started to say earlier, when we look at all the negativity and allow it to wear on it, that's what we did in our old life. As a believer, you start confessing. I'm glad you brought up the fact that one of you said the word please, but you bring it up. I live with her. I live with her. Okay? Nobody gets it more than me. The thing is that if you don't take into account the fact that you're saying things wrong, how it affects your life, you're going to keep doing it, and it's going to continue to affect your life in a negative way. You have to change. You have to change what you say, how you say it. Blessing God even for the wait for it times.
Yes.
Pastor Con was pretty, on his wait for it, was that Friday night? What? Friday night, well, yeah, it's Friday. Wait for it. He said, that's the way the blessings of God come. They don't come just like that. It didn't come just like that this week for them. Now, they went to lunch, and I didn't want to tell your husband is in on that decision.
I gotta take you down with you.
I'm gonna take somebody else under the bus.
Blessing far outweighs the pain.
There will be changes.
I got used to walk without a limp.
This isn't good.
The thing is that when you take and look at this situation, there's a change being about. Because I can remember Christmas time. I'm not doing that. Just don't even think about it, And she's told me that. But the thing is that when it was mentioned to me, it was just last week. But I remember Bree when the first time that she did, she said, "Don't call on me," and she gets up here and she's like a pro. But she's been doing it every Sunday. But the thing is there's a change that took place, and you have to have change in your life in order to move forward and make things grow in your life, especially in the kingdom of God. Don't become a stagnant pool. Don't become, in the world they call it a couch potato. You sit around and take it all in and never exercise it. What they did today was that mile run. What they did today was that marathon to get them to where God wants them to go the next time. Don't skip the opportunity to exercise your faith, exercise the word of knowledge that you have in you. When that happens, change comes about in you. And I can point to just about everybody in this room that has exercised a change because I know you in the beginning. I knew what it was like for you in the beginning, I can remember pulling Pastor Rick out when we were associate pastors and telling the pastor, he need to make him superintendent of high school or something because he got giftedness and he just took it and he would run. What's funny about Pastor Rick, he'd come to church, get everything all set up, and then go back and get his wife and kids and bring them to church. So he's a constant perpetual motion. But I watched how he grew in the things of God and how the anointing was. I watched Vince, And the thing is that even Rob Westbrook will one day be up here because why? Change will come upon his life. And his wife would drag him up there with him. And he's got to go.
Does it now.
And he's got to go home with her, so he's going to do it. But he's already been up there. She's already brought him up, and he's got up there and he talked. The thing is, beloved, we have to realize that this message today has to change you, or you toss it aside, and you can't walk out your day without it changing you, unless you choose to not let it happen. That's your choice. Ladies, thank you very much for listening.